Welcome back, everyone. RacerX here, and today I want to talk a little bit about some news that just came down the pipe from GM and their new revised V8. Yes, GM is revising their V8 for the 2027 model year, and it may have some implications on what Stellantis, i.e. Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram, do to their HEMI that they're supposedly going to be putting in a lot of their vehicles moving into the 2026 model year, and everybody seems to be upping their game right now. So today we will talk all about it. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please do me a big gigantic favor, hit subscribe. You can find that button over here, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
I am back at the Dream Giveaway Garage in Largo, Florida, because we are less than 1 month away from them doing the drawing on this monster. That is a Hennessey Mammoth 1000 TRX. It is an absolute beast. I love the color scheme on this. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own TRX, that is the one you want, because like I said, that is equipped with Hennessey's 1000 Mammoth package on it. Let me give you a little closer look. There are so many Hennessey cues all over this Mammoth 1000 TRX. You can see it right there on the front. No mistaking that it is the 6.2 liter Hellcat under the hood of this beast. But you see Mammoth 1000 right here on the side. Hennessey cues all over the back. It has the Ram bar. I mean, this thing is absolutely decked out with these big Hennessey wheels on it. And of course, it has the power step bars and a really beautiful interior inside this truck. It is the complete package. So if you have not entered to win this beast, make sure you go to Dream Giveaway's website, enter my code RacerX, and you will get 4X entries. Like I said, we're only about a month away from them doing the drawing on this. Time is ticking. I know a lot of you guys have already entered. If you haven't, I would highly encourage you to do so. I've already got my tickets in for this. I love everything about this truck. What an absolute monster. I cannot wait to see who wins. Now, this news just came down a couple of hours ago from our buddies over at Car Buzz, where they revealed GM intends to invest around $900 million in a new plant up in New York, so no tariffs there, on revamping their V8 power plant to go in their small trucks, their larger trucks, and in their SUVs. No, it won't affect cars like this. Obviously, this is a Z06. It's not going to affect the ZR1, as we know is over 1,000 horsepower. But in terms of just, their larger offerings, this is actually a really good sign if you are a V8 purist, because these engines supposedly are going to be more fuel efficient, more powerful, overall just better engines. And I think that's actually a good thing for the industry. Obviously, GM sees the potential of V8s in the future. Otherwise, they wouldn't be investing almost $1 billion in making their V8s better in just about every way. And I think, obviously, Stellantis needs to kind of do the same thing. We've already heard that Stellantis intends on bringing the V8s back to put in the new Charger. We may see that in other offerings as well. But I've always said that that engine needs to be retooled. We know that there were oiling issues, right? That's where the HEMI tick comes from in terms of how that engine actually picks up oil at idle. It's a heavy iron block. There are a lot of different ways that Stellantis could also retool their HEMI just to make it better. I hope they don't stick the same old HEMI without making some revisions into the new car. This is a perfect opportunity with this little break, obviously with going to electrification, going to the Hurricane Inline 6, and now eventually, probably for the late 2026 model year, we will get the HEMIs back. Hopefully it is a better HEMI, and obviously if GM is pushing the envelope on making their 6.2 liter engines better, their 5.3 liter engines better, I gotta believe that Stellantis needs to follow suit. Now, I know for certain that there are a good number of Mopar brand loyal V8 loving enthusiasts out there that think the HEMI is absolutely amazing, is the best thing since sliced bread, and has no room for improvement. And I hate to burst your bubble on this, guys, but there's room for improvement on the HEMI, quite a bit actually. The engine technology in the HEMI is older, right? I mean, there's a lot of room to make things better with that engine. And if you really understand what a hemispherical engine is, and when it first came out, you'll understand that the current HEMIs are not even HEMIs. They're like semi-HEMIs, right? They don't retain a hemispherical head. And I know why it was done. It was done to make the engines more fuel efficient, more smog friendly. I mean, there's a number of different things that happened when they changed the heads on the HEMI engine, but they're not true HEMIs anyway. But like I said, it's a marketing thing with Dodge. They stuck with their roots. I get it. It makes sense. But when you talk about just the block material, when you talk about like the way the heads flow, I mean, there are so many different ways to improve this engine and make it better. And if you go back to, I mean, not even that long ago, the 5.7 was like a 5 on the smog index, and then the rules changed and it went to a 1. The 6.4, I think, at best was like at a 3 on the smog index. It changed to a 1. The Hellcat was basically always a 1. We know that Stellantis was paying through the nose for credits, like from Tesla. They were paying EPA fines just to get these things out there because the brand loyal enthusiasts, that's what they wanted. But this is a prime opportunity for them to make the right improvements to this engine so that hopefully looking forward, it won't be, where we have to buy billions of dollars worth of credits and then pass that on to the customers, what's ultimately drive the prices of these cars up. I mean, there's a whole downstream effect to all of this. So I really like that GM is kind of throwing down the gauntlet and making their V8s better in basically every way, because that sort of cements that V8 legacy moving forward, and it will cause other manufacturers to basically have to follow suit. Now you look at what Ford did, right? With their Mustang, the S650 now has twin intakes. Well, it doesn't make that much more power than the outgoing Mustang, right? The S550, but it's much better on the smog index. So it's actually a more efficient engine. There's a reason there are 2 intakes on that engine, and a lot of it has to do with the smog index, fuel efficiency, things like that. So they were thinking ahead with that. So Ford kind of already put that out there in terms of making a more efficient, better engine. Now we have obviously GM stepping up to the plate in 2027. These are engines that are going to go into their big SUVs, into their trucks, all that kind of stuff, and it may bleed into some of their other performance offerings if we see something like that. But as far as I'm concerned, as a purist, as an enthusiast, this is a really good thing, really, for everybody across the board. The reality is Stellantis is probably well aware at this juncture that some revisions need to be made to the HEMI engines prior to them going into production vehicles. So they probably have been working on this in the background for a while now. We just don't hear anything about it because it's happening behind closed doors. At least it is my firm belief that that is what is happening. I'm hoping there'll be, a different block material. Now, is it really even going to be a HEMI when it comes back out? Chances are it will have a different head design. I hope it does, because maybe it'll flow better, and maybe they'll still even call it a HEMI, but it's probably going to stop being a HEMI at some point because they have to make them more fuel efficient, more smog efficient. I mean, there are just some efficiencies that need to be made, which may cause them to go away from, even a semi-hemispherical head. So, I mean, there's just so many things that they could do different with this, and it may not be a HEMI at all, but at least it'll be a V8. And who knows, maybe they won't even call it a HEMI. I believe they probably will, just from a branding perspective like we talked about. But yeah, I believe that is something they're working on in the background to make this engine better, make it make more power. As I've mentioned, I think even a 426, if they did it right, and I really do hope that they stick a 426 in a production vehicle, because I think that would just be so iconic to put that in a Charger or anything else, really. I think they're going to have to make some adjustments to an engine like that, because for a long time, just like in the Elephant, they couldn't get the 426 to pass emissions. Well, if they made some changes to the head design and they did some things differently in that engine, I certainly think that they could. And they have to maintain that this engine, not just for the next 2, 3, 4 years, right? I mean, hopefully they make enough design changes to where even if the rules change a little bit, where they don't have to buy billions of dollars of credits and all that kind of stuff, which was kind of what put us in this position to begin with. Anyway, guys, short and sweet today. I just thought I would pass this along. I love the fact that GM is investing almost $1 billion in making its V8s better. We'll just kind of see what that bleed down effect is like. Obviously, they realize that there's still a future for the V8s, and that's great news for folks like me, for folks like you, at least most of you out there that aren't EV purists. This is a good sign, and I think obviously, it's showing other companies out there, hey, we're still investing in this V8 technology. I firmly believe that Stellantis is already working on this as well. We'll just wait and see what comes down. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.